Hi, and welcome to this webinar on the topic of why executives and board directors should have their own digital presence in the shape of a website. And let me just start by sharing my screen with you. Just give me a second. And I will shortly introduce you to the agenda for the webinar. And by now you should be able to see the start deck here. And my name is Katie Cardoan, and I'm the co-founder of Digoshen. And at Digoshen, we help organizations and leaders remain successful in the digital age. And we support those who are aiming to become digital leaders. So a warm welcome to you. And we're going to spend around 30 minutes today in order to dive into this topic and go through the advantages and give you some hints and tips on how you can get started. So the agenda for today will start by exactly that, going through the benefits. We will also look back and share what we have found by working with a number of executives over the years and what has made them successful in doing this. What are the key critical success factors that you should consider before diving into this yourself. And we are also going to share some examples that could inspire you, and you are of course free to model those that inspires you the most. Also, we have some key questions that you should consider answering before you start on this task. And we will share 5 of our key questions for you today. We have a longer list of questions that we share with our followers. So until the end, you will get some hints and tips on where you can find more inspiration and more resources to help you through your own journey. So let's start by going through the benefits. And let me say also, if you have any questions to the content, or if you are looking into this yourself and you have some worries or some challenges or some ideas, don't hesitate to put them into the question box. And I will stop towards the end and we'll go through the questions that have come during the webinar. I have also received a couple of questions before this webinar, so we will go through all of them at the end. When looking at the benefits of having a digital presence that is beyond a LinkedIn profile and maybe a Twitter profile for an executive or board director, there are a number of things that has come out of the recent years, reports and research from various providers. And some of the findings we have summarized here for you. So one of them is, of course, that what they see is that if executives and board directors are becoming increasingly visible, even outside of the organizational brand digital presence, it will create a positive and increased brand awareness, both for the individual but also for the organization. So this is something that could be a true win-win situation if it's done correctly. What we also see is that having executives and board directors who are visible and engaging via digital platforms and creating this kind of an umbrella hub for the digital presence, it will also have a positive impact on the culture in the company. It will inspire people internally to share and to model and to attract more business and more stakeholders to the organization. And finally, as a result of these things, the professional reputation, both for the organization as well as for the individual, will enhance throughout this process. So if done correctly, this is something that will be really beneficial for both the organization as well as you as an executive or board director. And the advantages, again, is that having a digital presence that is more than just a LinkedIn profile and social media attendance, we see that there are more aspects to this because it will allow you to obtain a number of things that could prove really, really useful. And the first thing is, of course, that you will be able to inspire your stakeholders. You probably have a lot of stakeholders. You have investors, you have analysts, you have customers and future customers, you have employees, you have future employees, you have business partners, and also you probably have nominating committees and potentially headhunters. So where can you actually inspire them and make sure that you do it in your own way without any restrictions in terms of functionality or design? That's where this personal website come into play. So to inspire the stakeholders, this is something that could really be beneficial to you. And also it will allow you to contribute even more to your existing business or businesses if you have a portfolio of businesses. In the aspect of you will be able to inspire stakeholders internally and externally. So you will attract more engagement, you will maybe infuse your radar, you will get access to opportunities that you didn't have earlier, and you will make yourself available in a new way, 24/7, literally. So that is summarized by this point in attracting more business opportunities. And I should say, maybe add even more relevant business opportunities, because having your own website gives you the opportunity to really personalize it and creating a message and content that resonates with those you want to attract. And I'll get back to that shortly. Now, some people say, well, listen, Katie, inspiring and contributing and attracting opportunities, all of this can be accomplished by having a professional profile and also behaving in an inspired way using LinkedIn, for instance. And I say, well, that's probably correct, yes. But there's one thing that you can't do by simply using LinkedIn, and that is controlling the functionality and the design fully. So LinkedIn and any other social media platform can change the terms and conditions at any point in time. And they actually did that a couple of years ago when they removed the recommendations of services for companies on LinkedIn. And that was a big drawback for many who had been collecting them over years. So in order to control your own content and the information, as well as the design that you want to express yourself through, you need to have your own website. So it's a matter of taking ownership of your digital hub. And of course, you will still use LinkedIn and Twitter and other social media tools and integrate with your own website to avoid redundancies and so on. But it's important that you control the arena that is representing you fully. So I want to quote my peer and co-founder, Liselott Engstam, who is chair of Digoshen, and she says it like this: it's just like when you're inspiring and networking in the offline world. In order to remain trustworthy, you need to do it before you need it, right? So in order to be trustworthy and maintain your credibility in this area and build digital footprints over time, you shouldn't wait until there is a crisis or if you really have a huge and more urgent situation in your professional life. We strongly suggest that you do this on an ongoing basis. And in the beginning, you will have to think about what you want to include. You will have to think about choosing the right tools, and you will find help to get it up and running. But then it's a matter of maintaining it and developing this over time. So it doesn't have to take a lot of time into consideration. But what you need to do is to fill it and to maintain it over time. You can't be there on an ad hoc basis. Now, I hear you think, well, I'm a busy executive, I have a portfolio business, how could I possibly have time to do this? And then we have good news for you, because technology has improved so much, the user friendliness has improved so much over the last few years, so it doesn't have to take a lot of time, but you have to think through a few things in advance in order to save time and to make it as easy as possible for you to maintain it over time. So we'll get back to that shortly as well. So what are the critical success factors then when doing this? When looking back at whom we have helped in the past and also our own journey, because both Liselott Engström and myself, we have our own personal websites, we have learned a lot. And as a matter of fact, you should think that the technical thing would be the most time-consuming aspect of it. Often it's not. It's the human factor, and it's our thinking and our limiting beliefs sometimes that makes us reluctant or even really hesitant to doing this. And it takes time to create that message and the content that you want to convey on a digital website. So what we have seen is the following. The people who are really successful in doing this, they are brave. These are executives and board directors and leaders who are willing to share something that is personal. So it's not private, but it's personal. And to exemplify this, they're willing to share their big why. So why are they in business? What are their big purpose? What is it that they are inspired by, and whom do they want to inspire? If they're willing to share this and create a story that could resonate with their followers, the visitors, they're able to make the visitors think and reflect and even feel things when taking part of their website. They are likely to be very successful. And this is the difficult part, which is non-technical at all, but has to do with who you are and how you want to be perceived by others, and what you're willing to share as well. We will share some examples later on what this could look like. Moving on, a second critical success factor has to do with using the design elements of a website to reflect your personal mission statement. So again, back to LinkedIn or other available tools to share who you are professionally. They're also very often limited in terms of design elements. And this is an opportunity for you to really share your content in a way that is right for you. Some people decide to involve a graphic designer and have their own color palette and create their own icons and their own visuals, even have their own fonts and so on. And you don't need to do that, but to some people, it's really important to set a mark. And the visual elements are, of course, as we all know, really important to the eye and also to the subtle comprehension of your content. So having your own website gives you so much more freedom in doing that if that's important to you. And of course, it's also very critical to be able to manage the risks because, as we all know, there are hackers out there and there could be people writing things about the company or about us as individuals that we need to monitor and handle. And of course, we need to monitor that, and we need to use well-proven tools to include those functions and those widgets that allow us to capture that quickly and to respond and manage that in a constructive way as part of a crisis or a risk management activity. But also turn it around and say that we're also going to manage when we get positive feedback, right? So we are engaging with people and making sure that we capture both positive and negatives and are able to manage that correctly in a digital context. As a fourth component to the critical success factors, of course, we would recommend you to use well-proven tools. And just looking back a few years, we had far less options to use, and it was a bit more technical and less intuitive. And right now we are almost overwhelmed by tools which allow us to very quickly and intuitively create very nice things. And we have nice and shiny objects coming to us from all over the place. And again, it's really important to to talk to people who have been involved in previous website implementations, just to make sure that you choose something that has a well built out support system, where the templates or the gadgets are working on different web browsers, and where you can find hints and tips on a frequent basis. So this is an area where people are easily distracted. Like I said, a lot of time can go lost here, and what we like to do is to quickly help our customers to really understand what is important in order to get something in place that has a long-term capability, and that has built-in functionality that you shouldn't really have to consider, right? As an executive, you shouldn't have to think about search engine optimization in detail. You shouldn't have to think about backups and stuff like that. So all of those things need to be included at the back end in a very easy way. And then finally, as a critical success factor is, of course, to avoid redundancy. So you don't want to put the same information on your website as you do on LinkedIn or Twitter. However, you want to pull your LinkedIn profile data somehow and your tweets into your website to make sure that you can share that and include that. So you actually create a hub. Your website becomes a hub where you can leverage the engagement and the nature of the social media platforms on your website. And the well-proven tools, most of them integrate really, really well with social media platforms. And it's really fun to see how it all comes together in a very easy way. So this was far more difficult just a few years ago, and now it's quite intuitive to make it all happen. All right, so let's look at some examples. And I'm going to go through this kind of quick, just so you get a glimpse, but I will add the URL so you can have a look for yourself in peace and quiet. And we have chosen some different examples so you can get some inspiration and maybe have a think for yourself what you can model and use as your starting point. So this is Vineet Nayar, who is the former HCL CEO of HCL Technologies. And he has a fabulous website, which is really, really inspiring, where he shares a lot of videos. He has a blog, and you can connect with him and ask questions. And you can, of course, then engage him in terms of speaking engagements and other initiatives that he is running. So this is a very sophisticated way of using videos and sharing or using a website as a hub to combine many things that he cares about. So have a look at this just to get inspired and see what could you choose as elements or components and topics on your own future website. And you will find more information here, vineetnayar.com. And moving on then to another example of an executive who is currently engaged in a number of boards in the Nordic countries. His name is Jens Moberg, and he has a website in both local language, which is Danish, and in English, and the English version is here, where he shares his big why and what he wants to inspire about and how he can help in different ways. So this is also a very good collection of purpose statements and a hub for him to share what he cares about. So again, have a look through here to see what could be applicable to you. As you can see here, he has a list of the boards where he's attending right now. He has launched some books, and he gives lectures, and he is engaged in a number of different areas. So again, some of this might not be applicable to you where you are right now, but it could be in the future. So just have a look to see what would be relevant to you. Then, of course, I would also like to share the website of my colleague. And from jensmoberg.dk/en, We're moving on to Liselott Engstam, who is then my colleague here at Digoshen. And she has a more simple type of website. She's using a standard template, so to speak, but it's quite sophisticated in terms of how it integrates with other social media and platforms. So on the front page that you can see here, she's sharing what she wants to share and how she wants to be perceived, and how you can contact her and why. And also she's integrating her Twitter wall here. And then, as you can see here, she has a lot of sharing and blog and magazines and even a bookstore on her webpage. So I'm just going to switch to her live site. And as you can see here, just to give you a few glimpses of what it could look like, she's using a third-party tool called Rebel Mouse, which actually pulls information from Twitter. So you can see here, this is a combination of Liselott's own tweets and tweets from other people or via keywords like hashtags on Twitter that she can include here, just to gather information that she finds inspiring and that she wants to inspire other people to take part of. And also what she has done, in addition to her blog, she has compiled a number of digital magazines. And again, this is another way of using a third-party tool to pull information from Twitter onto her website. So today is a Thursday, so then she's releasing a magazine called Innovation, Startup and Venture Capital. And by looking into that, you will see that that pulls information from Twitter about exactly innovation, startup and venture capital. So she doesn't have to curate this manually. It's curated automatically based upon her configuration of which accounts and which keywords to use. So in a very easy way, you can actually then create a lot of value and inspire your followers and your visitors by sharing a lot of content without actually creating all the content yourself. And then finally, with Liselott, I also want to share her bookstore. She is an affiliate with Amazon, and that allows her to present certain books that she is really passionate about, and it's possible then to buy them directly here, and she will then gain a small fee from Amazon for doing that. But again, this has to do with, as an executive, as a board director, what type of literature, what type of books is she recommending to other leaders who are interested in the same topics as she is. So again, very simple way to integrate what is happening on other websites onto your own website. So I hope that was that gave you some ideas about what is possible to do. And let me then just go back to the presentation here, and I want to share something else as well. If you want to learn more about Liselott's website, you can go to her URL here, liselottengstam.com. Moving on then, from my own website, you will find examples of if you are giving keynote speeches or if you are being interviewed by newspapers and similar. You will be asked about maybe a speaker profile and some high resolution photos. So why not make them available via your website? This is just an example where it's possible from my website then to download my speaker profile and also some different photos. So that's just an idea that you can do, and you can have more information about that via my website, katiecarduan.com. And just to add to that, on my own website, just to exemplify, under the About section, I have something called Profile and Recommendations. And this is simply something I pull directly from LinkedIn. So this text and this picture comes directly from LinkedIn. So I'm pulling information in here, avoiding redundancies, and making sure that everything plays together. So again, have a look here to see if this or anything else on these websites can inspire you in how you want your future website to work and look. So we are heading towards the key questions, and I promised to share 5 of the key questions that we share with our clients as well. And we have a long list of 25 questions in total, but for today, we want you to reflect about the following so you can get a good start yourself. And the first question is, how do you want to be perceived by others? So do you simply want to put up your resume and the contact information on how to reach you via mail? Or do you want to share something about why you are in business and what is important to you and what you want to inspire other people about? And that takes some more effort to get that in place. The second question is, what is it that you want to share with your professional stakeholders? So which topics do you want to share? And if you saw the examples now from Vinit Nayar and Jens Moberg and Liselott Engstam and so on, you will see that they had different topics that they decided to share. And they're not sharing all over the place. They are deciding 3 to 7 topics, and rather fewer than more in the beginning, at least, to attract the right type of interest and stakeholders and opportunities. So think about that. What is it that you want to become known for, that you are known for, and what is it that you want to put emphasis on to really become top of mind in that area or those areas? Then thirdly, which social media platforms are your preferred ones when you're engaging? So is it LinkedIn or is it Twitter or is it something else? We want you to bring that engagement naturally onto your own website so you can share that without giving double effort. So you need to think about that. Which social media platforms would you love to share via your website? And it doesn't have to be the same as where your stakeholders hang out. That's why we need to think about this next question as well. So where do your most important stakeholders hang out? If they do not hang out and spend time on the same social media platforms that you prefer yourself, you need to find a way to reach out to them to invite them into your preferred site or your website. So it's a matter of thinking for your own preference, but also understanding where they spend time and where it's possible for you to get their attention. And then finally, how can you bring those professional stakeholders onto your digital arena? And this is a trick. I didn't show you that in detail, but Jens Moberg, one of the examples from previously, he is allowing you to download some chapters from his books. Vinit Nayar has a number of videos available, and Liselott Engstam offers digital magazines and a blog and so on. So you should consider having something that adds value to your visitors, that makes them more curious about you, and that really represents what you are passionate about. What could that be? In the beginning, you only need one thing. So what should that be? All right. So I'm going to quit sharing my screen now, and I'm going to check if I have received any questions from anyone. Just give me a second here. And I'm looking at the question box here. I don't have any live questions I can see, but I got a few questions in advance. So I will use the last few minutes just to answer the questions I got in advance. And hopefully they will be relevant to you as well. The first one I've got here is, there are a number of do-it-yourself tools to create your own website. Branded.me is one of them, and there's another one called About Me, and there are many, many more, I'm sure. And the advantage of using them instead of having your own website is, of course, that it gets, you can literally make your own website in minutes. It's really, really quick. However, it doesn't really resolve the key thing, having you own the website yourself and the domain. So you are still in the hands of somebody else's functionality and more or less flexible design. But of course, it's a great way of getting started quickly if you don't want to go down the full road. The next question I have here is, as an executive, I don't have time to neither implement or maintain a website on my own. What do you suggest I do? Well, good news is that it doesn't have to take a lot of time anymore, because these tools have become so much easier to implement. And also there is help to get. So in the beginning, as I mentioned before, the thing that actually takes the most time is to decide and be honest and answer those questions for yourself and decide what you want to share, how you want to show up. Pulling together a website today doesn't have to take many hours. But it's about creating that story and having the messages and the design really reflect who you are. That could create some more activities. And we always advise people to start off in a smaller version, and then you can always add on to that over time. And we totally respect and understand that there is a threshold in terms of showing up in this way. Many executives, of course, are not used to being visible in this way. They are normally then represented by the company logo or brand, and this is something quite different because it's you as a person. So that is what is really the challenge to most people and what is taking most time. Technically, I have a question here as well about the technical skill level required. Well, technically, it's not that difficult anymore, but of course, if you don't have the time nor the interest in doing it yourself, you don't have to. There are so many resources available. And what we do is that we often involve a virtual assistant to help with the technical side of things, whereas we more facilitate the overall approach, the concepts, and the key messages and the structures to be implemented. So, from a technical perspective, there are many people who can help you do this, and you can even probably get help very close to home. You don't have to go very far for that. But again, it should all be pulled together in a professional way. So just have a think about what is it that you need. Where is your threshold, and where do you need to involve somebody else in order to make progress in this area? So that makes the list of questions that I had already. I'm just going to double check again to see if I got some more questions here. Nope, nothing yet. So that leaves me with just a couple of more final slides to share. And let me just pull them up here for you. And if, in case you are interested in learning more about this and going more into detail, we strongly recommend you to visit our free of charge Insight platform. You will find it here at digoshen.com/Insight platform, where you will find research, you will find inspirational articles, you will find interviews with digital leaders, and you will find hints and tips on social media, and a long list of executives who have already put their digital website into play. So we hope to see you on the inside of our platform. And finally, we'd like to thank you for joining today. The recording will be available within 24 hours. And we also like to encourage you to suggest topics for upcoming webinars. We intend to have these webinars on a weekly basis, and we are open to your ideas on which topics would be applicable for our target groups. So you're welcome to suggest the things and topics of your interest. With that, I wish you a very good night and good luck with your website. Bye.